Welcome to this explainer. You know that feeling when you're watching a tense, edge-of-your-seat survival movie? Your heart is racing, your palms are sweating. Well, there is a very specific rhythm to that terror. It's not just about what jumps out of the water, it is entirely about what's said, what gets ignored, and how the dialogue methodically strips away a character's options. So today, we're going to deconstruct the exact transcript of a deadly cinematic shark attack scene to figure out the structural anatomy of fear. Understanding these dialogue tricks is honestly going to change how you watch movies forever. You're going to turn from a passive viewer into an active analyst of the media you consume, spotting all those invisible strings the writers pull to make us jump. Let's get right into it.
Now, we have all yelled at the screen when a character drops famous last words exactly like this one. It is the ultimate cinematic red flag. Whether we're talking about an American blockbuster or a Bollywood survival thriller like our source material today, a character confidently announcing that there is absolutely nothing to worry about right in the middle of a suspense narrative, yeah, they're effectively sealing their own fate. Today, we're going to unpack the specific narrative devices, the shifting timelines, and the desperate lines of dialogue that make our hearts pound when we hear phrases just like this.
Part 1. The first sign of danger, the calm and the hubris.
So in pretty much any thriller, the narrative first sets up this false sense of security, relying heavily on the classic trope of ignoring early warnings. Look at the sharp contrast between the protagonist's initial carefree attitude and the desperate reality she faces just moments later. Early in the transcript, we see a companion warn her, basically saying, "Hey, it's getting dark, let's go." Her response, "I want to surf a little more." She just completely dismisses the fading light, totally unaware of the threat lurking in the ocean. It perfectly establishes her hubris. But then, the script aggressively pivots. It goes from, "I want to surf a little more," straight to the terrifying, breathless plea of, "Please save me," and "It's pulling me very far away." The screenwriter uses this massive, sudden psychological shock in tone to instantly rip away the safety net, plunging the character and us, the audience, right into the nightmare.
Part 2. The deadly illusion of safety. Engineering dramatic irony.
Survival thrillers build immense tension through dramatic irony. That's when we, along with the protagonist, know about the unseen danger lurking below, but others in the scene have absolutely no clue. At this point in the story, our protagonist is stranded and injured. A man appears near the beach, completely oblivious to the monstrous threat in the water, and the script gives our protagonist this incredibly desperate line, "Get out of the water, go back!" She's screaming for the man to stay away, which perfectly mirrors our own internal panic. I mean, we are sitting there wanting to scream the exact same thing at our televisions, right? The writer is channeling our helplessness directly through her dialogue. She is literally begging him to stop, to not come in, to get out of the water.
And boom, that brings us right back to our opening quote, which completely shatters that desperate warning. The man on the beach yells back, "Don't worry, there's no shark here." This is such a brilliant clash of perspectives. As the doomed character confidently dismisses the deadly threat, the cinematic dread is absolutely maximized. It's the peak of dramatic irony. We know the shark is there. She knows the shark is there. But his sheer arrogance and absolute refusal to listen transforms him from a potential rescuer into the monster's next inevitable victim. The horror doesn't actually come from the shark biting him. It comes from knowing it's going to happen the very second he utters that deeply arrogant line.
Part 3. Pain and first aid. The psychological survival arc.
Okay, so the scene shifts now from external panic to internal resilience, focusing strictly on the protagonist's mindset during a makeshift medical triage. Because thrillers aren't just about escaping the monster, they're about surviving the actual physical toll. The script introduces an injured companion for our protagonist, a bird with a damaged wing, and this gives us a brilliant window into her psychological shift. Even though she fully admits she isn't an orthopedic doctor, she forces herself through a rapid series of steps to fix a dislocated wing. First, she assesses the injury, diagnosing it as a dislocation, where the shoulder has separated. Second, she braces for the pain, counting down, ready, 1, 2, 3. And third, the snap into place with a definitive done, done, done. By pacing out the tension of this quick, painful fix through dialogue, the writer proves to us that she actually possesses the grit necessary to survive. She warns that it's going to hurt, but that it will ultimately make things better. Now, what's genuinely fascinating here is how this improvisational triumph showcases her complete transition from a helpless victim to a highly capable survivor. By telling the bird, "Now you will be able to fly," she is metaphorically speaking to herself. She is actively reclaiming control over her grim situation. She's no longer just pleading for someone to save her, she's taking concrete, painful steps to fix what is broken. It's this brilliant, quiet moment of character development tucked right inside a loud, terrifying survival scenario.
Part 4. The Race Against Time. Thrillers run on ticking clocks. Every great survival thriller uses time to box the character in. You simply cannot maintain suspense without a ticking clock. As the dialogue tracks the rising water, it creates a physical ticking clock, rapidly closing in on her safe haven. Early in her ordeal, she notes that there are 6 hours until the water rises. That's a massive window of time. But as the scene progresses, the dialogue ruthlessly chips away at her safety. Suddenly, she notes 3 hours, and then the terror truly sets in when she realizes the water is actively coming up, shrinking her window down to a mere 25 minutes. The writer systematically destroys her sanctuary, forcing her out of her defensive posture and pushing her toward a final, desperate, offensive move. As that time relentlessly shrinks, she uses a camera to meticulously track her desperate attempts, showing a complete shift to pure, calculated survival logic. She actually speaks to the camera, documenting the beast's movements, saying, "Camera, this is the 3rd time." She's recognizing patterns. She isn't just reacting in blind panic anymore. She is hunting for the mathematical formula that will save her life. She is studying the precise time it takes for the shark to circle her position.
And all of that intense observation culminates in one terrifying metric: 32. In the transcript, she finally pieces the puzzle together and states, "Now I understand. It took 32 seconds, from the whale till the rock." This is the entire movie distilled down to a single terrifying metric: exactly 32 seconds to swim through shark-infested waters before the creature circles back. The water is rising, her time is up, and she has definitively quantified exactly what it's going to take to live.
To wrap up this explainer, I want you to put yourself in her shoes. Ask yourself if you could survive the engineered cinematic terror we just deconstructed. We've seen how the writers lulled us into a false sense of security, completely ripped it away with dramatic irony, tested the character's psychological grit, and finally trapped her against a 32-second ticking clock. The anatomy of fear isn't just a monster in the dark, it's the realization that you are completely out of time and your only option left is to dive in. So, would you make the swim? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and hey, keep an eye out for these incredible narrative techniques the next time you find yourself gripping the armrest during a thriller.